Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Auburn Energy Committee meeting on Monday, October 24th. It is now called to order at approximately 5:31 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and broadcasted by Local Access Programming. As there's no one in the audience tonight to record, we will go to our first agenda item, which is the Community Initiative Program. Eric, do you want to speak first to it, or I can share what came up with the planning board, or?
Yeah, why don't you, the Board of Selectmen.
The Board of Selectmen, yes. So Ms. Pike from National Grid came and presented to the Board of Selectmen, I believe it was last Monday, the 17th. And at the time, there were just a few questions. There seemed to be some, overall general support for the town participating in the program. However, they agreed to withhold actually formally voting on it until the subsequent meeting, which I think was last week, correct? So that was the last conversations we had, but I thought she did a really great job, and the board was very appreciative that she came in and seemed to have a lot of interest in the program.
And then last week the board did vote unanimously to support the initiative, or us applying for the initiative. And so tonight, part of the application, which is due November 1st, is to present a 12-month strategy plan. So I thought that it would be helpful for us to at least brainstorm as a committee and think about what our approach could be. So I've got the application here just so we can look at it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So just briefly, you look at the scope. It explains that municipalities will be responsible for planning and executing 12 months of public education, outreach, marketing, and PR to drive measurable participation in the following National Grid Mass Save energy efficiency programs. And it details the home energy services, which is when Mass Save comes to your house and does an audit, it makes recommendations for energy efficiency upgrades. And this refrigerator recycling program, if you have an old refrigerator that you would like to have recycled, they'll come to your house, pick it up, and they give you a $50 reward. So the National Grid has set goals for the measures in town, and the funding that would come to the town would be based on the town's ability to meet those goals. And, as explained, the main effort behind reaching the goals would be, or the main effort behind the outreach would be, our committee. So, if we go to the tools and training from National Grid, just briefly to look at what they're offering us. It says it'll make the following resources available to us. So we can keep these resources in mind as we think about how we would like to approach our outreach. There's mandatory one-day training for the program and the best practices in the community. That, I am definitely going to be attending it. And it would be helpful if, maybe one or two members from the committee wanted to attend that as well, or were able to attend that as well.
Eric, do you know if that's a set date yet, or that's to be determined? They haven't.
Yeah.
TBD.
Early December.
Says December. So once that date is announced, we could shoot out an email.
Okay.
And see if it could work for, whose schedule could work for.
Do they don't say here, but I mean, who would that be targeting pretty much? The people?
The training?
Yeah,
Mhm.
just
The implementers, yeah. Yeah, so those of us who would be working to implement the strategy, that, the training would be for us. I think it's interesting that training would come after we were to develop a 12-month strategy and apply for, the initiative. Strange timing on that, but that's how it works.
In the one conversation Brenda and I caught up after was we were walking out, and she did say that the plan that we present is obviously not set in stone. So I don't think it's something that we'll be completely committed to.
Yeah.
More
that
so.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I would imagine from their perspective, they're offering us a grant total, I believe is $34,000
Yep.
and change. And so for $34,000, they want to see that the town has at least given it the thought and is prepared to the level, where our likelihood of success is high, to just show that we have what it takes.
Now, what exactly is the goal that they're assigning the town? You said that there's goals that we have to meet. What
Those
are-
came in the presentation. Do you have that on your computer?
I do, and I can send it.
Okay,
I will
that'd be
send it to
great.
you. Yep.
That would be number of participants and things like that.
Yeah, and we could run through that now.
Oh, I don't have it on this computer.
Okay.
I have it on.
No problem. Mhm.
And so really it was as you mentioned, how many go through the Mass Saves program, how many actually do some of the installation.
Is it based on the town, how many people in the town? So it's a
Previously.
percentage?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, all
it's
right.
previous participation, I believe, from the year prior.
It's
So it's an
FY15.
increase.
Yep.
Okay.
It's
It's-
FY15 participation, and then if we meet the same level of participation, then we get a certain portion of the funds, and to reach the max grant, it would be another 50%, I believe is
About that.
what the formula was.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
My only challenge with it, but it's something that I still think it's because there's not cost for the town.
Mhm.
I don't, and we talked about this a little when she came out, I don't know what the current saturation point is for participation in these programs today in the town. So for example, and I'll just make these numbers up, if there were 100 homes and last year, 20 went through just the energy audit, but 70% of the town had already done it,
Mhm.
then that really only leaves you 10.
Right.
So, or more so as if we're at a high saturation point, hitting the goals is just going to be more challenging
Right.
because those who have known about it have already done it. Nevertheless, I think it's the right program for us to go through, but I think when we go through the training, we should try to see if we can she provided to the Board of Selectmen, which was a little more detailed than what was here, and it's in the presentation, some of what the metrics reporting they'll be able to share with us.
Cool.
So we'll be able to see where we are, this nice dashboard all throughout the year. But I'd be curious if we can go back and just say, can you do anything historically so we can see how many people in town have previously participated if it's available?
Right.
Just something I think for us to know. I think the opportunity is going to be there, but there might be some, especially like the audits. I know virtually everybody I talk to I know has already done
He's
it.
already done it.
So, but we'll see. So
Yeah.
just something for us to think
I
about.
would
so.
think they'd be changing the program somehow or another, have different offers, because every community's gonna get saturated sooner or later,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
close to it.
Yeah.
Well, but the houses sell to new owners, and so the new owners, just because the previous owners did it, doesn't mean the new owners can't.
Fair enough. Yep.
And we get a lot of home sales here in town every year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because not everybody takes advantage of the full, program, so I know with my last house, we did it, and they recommended a whole bunch of stuff, and we didn't do everything that they recommended, so.
Right.
Yeah,
We didn't
that's a
take
good point.
advantage some of the, extra insulation and things like that.
Yeah.
Some people get the new thermostats, which is part of the program, you get the new thermostats installed, and then they just kind of stop at that, because that's all they care about.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
those could be expensive,
Or
it could be
some
like
LED
50
light
to $100 each, so
Mhm.
if you have 3 installed, that's worth it.
Yeah.
That's $300 worth of stuff for free, so.
Mhm.
And you get all the light bulbs and everything, so that alone is, worth it,
Yeah.
Great. So lots of
right,
questions.
that's helpful.
Just a thought.
No, it's helpful. So the National Grid will offer us brochures, you know, that are more or less tailored to the town of Auburn. Email templates that we can use, flyers. And it sounds like, you know, there's a certain amount of printed materials they could offer us. So we could, you know, would think in our strategy how we could implement what would be the best ways to implement the tools that they can offer. They also, I believe it was about $4,000 upfront to support the outreach. So we could think about other opportunities we might want to, if we could use that funds to support the effort, then what could we use that for? So then you mentioned the monthly progress reports, you know, the dashboard. Will participate. It would probably be me, but maybe multiple of us could sit on monthly calls just for the updates, and then they'll come and support our events, community events, which is nice. We did have them at our energy fair. They brought, you know, it's like a little model house that showed different areas of the home where efficiency can be updated, and you press a button and that part of the house lights up. It gives you a brief little, you know, synopsis of what could happen. And they also had a hand crank light bulb, so you could see the difference between like an LED and a CFL and how much energy it requires.
That's neat.
Just kind of neat,
A
yeah.
lot faster for the CFO.
Yeah. It was really interesting. The LED, you would just like,
That's
really,
neat.
it's like, is this thing rigged? Sure it wasn't. So that's the type of support that they can offer us, right? Okay, so I think if we go through the proposal evaluation process, just spend a little chunk of our time together discussing these points, and then see what we could come up with. Does that sound
Sure.
good? Okay. So, according to the application, they are looking for, number one, a description of the proposed project in 1 or 2 sentences. I'm sure, you know, you can make that happen.
Plagiarize something from the
Yes.
first page of their,
Yeah, absolutely.
of the proposal.
I'm not stressed about that. So number 2 is 12-month draft of the education outreach marketing plan schedule based on the participation of goals laid out for your communities, and delineate how your strategies and tactics will take into account varying demographics. So I think this is where it would be helpful to spend the bulk of our conversation.
So a few of the ideas I had after the last time that we met with her is kind of capitalize on any of the town's social media is one.
Capitalize on social media.
The Facebook page, or any other, or the town websites. One thing is, and something that we learned from the energy fair is, I think, working with Kristen Pappas from the rec department was a great experience, and and it's something that she was very engaged in supporting our effort to, at a minimum, look to, and this is where I thought it'd be helpful to kind of have stuff all over the year, align with, if it's appropriate, different just events organized by Auburn Rec. So as they do the movies, things like that, do we see if we can just have a booth set up there so it's people in town?
Absolutely.
And the senior center. See, just I remember Brian, I think he went down, Brian Murphy went down to the senior center, so I think that would be helpful. And one thing I thought too I think it'll be a lot of us folks on the committee working on this, but the high school kids, whether they're in NHS, they need to have a certain number of volunteer hours each year.
Yes, that's true.
So this could also be something we could solicit and say, so if we created, if you know, we had everything prepared, but we wanted to have someone just man a booth at a different event, or see if we can get some of the kids in town to participate and be part of something that's good for the town, as well as satisfy a need they have, so.
The churches do also. A lot of the churches for their CCD programs, I know for
Okay.
the Catholic ones in particular,
Mhm.
they require
great.
volunteer hours also. They, I'm
And,
sorry, I
yeah,
don't
houses
know
of
about
worship
the-
might be an
yeah.
an avenue to, I don't know,
I don't know about the Congregational church, you know, I don't know what they require, but
right.
all I know is the Catholic churches in town require volunteer hours.
Mm-hmm. Thinking even an avenue for advertising the service.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's something that a church congregation would be interested in promoting.
So many have that time at the end where it's just news and announcements.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't, I don't think that would be a bad thing if we could provide some materials to leave there and see if there could be periodically an announcement, especially if we can show that it's not just a benefit to them, but if I think sharing a little bit about the grant too, saying, so this is what the town's doing, if we hit these numbers, the town will receive a grant, and that grant will go right back into energy, and that was something that Brenda spoke to at the Board of Selectmen. I think she spoke to it here too. They really stressed to use that money for some type of green initiative in town. So I think if we could share that, saying it helps you, but also it will help the town, I think that would be something, I'm just picturing if that's something I could imagine hearing, you know.
Yeah.
most of the churches have after their services, not just, you know, like all different types have, after the service, have like a coffee and
Mhm.
afterwards, where they all
Right.
meet in the hall for
Sure.
coffee and pastry, so
Yeah.
might be able to make I might be able to make an announcement like at that,
Yeah.
when people are in there, you know,
Yeah.
do a small presentation, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or an insert for the bulletin.
Or an insert for the
Yeah,
bulletin,
that's a good
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Or even, you know, have pamphlets to pass out after.
No, that's a good idea.
What about Girl Scout troops, Boy Scouts, things like that? There's local chapters of those, would that be something they, you know what I mean, could, I don't know
I've
what.
never participated in any of those.
I know,
types
I'm
of
sorry.
programs. No, it's okay.
I've never been a Girl Scout, but I know they're always doing community outreach,
Okay,
so I don't know if that's another group that we could
right, just
talk
reach out to.
Right, and
Mhm.
see if it's something that, maybe there's a green energy badge.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know.
Mhm.
Well, especially I would think if you found a Boy Scout who was in any way working towards like
Eagle.
the Eagle,
Mhm.
and had anything environmentally related,
Yeah.
would be a good opportunity, so I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other events in town throughout like the year, different things that could piggyback on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the obvious one is the 4th of July celebration.
Mhm.
Right,
You know, that's,
that's a big one, yeah.
yeah, it's a big event.
And that one's a good one
It's
too, 'cause it's in
well-attended.
summer, yeah.
And I
Everybody's
think,
thinking about energy costs and when they
In
have
the
their
summer.
ACs blasting.
Exactly. but even that is another good point. So when we start the program in January, we'll be in the heating season,
Mhm.
right? So people are thinking along those lines. Part of the goals are boiler upgrades. There are so many, you know, I don't recall the number, but so many boiler upgrades that are set for the goals. So are there any events in the beginning of the new year in town that
There'd be
you
one,
are aware of?
and those would be good to push just because I went through the program for the boiler upgrade, and it just takes time.
Okay.
Because, mostly because of the financing piece to it,
Right.
because that's one of the higher end items, and they have
Yeah.
that great 0% for 7
financing.
years.
Yep.
Oh,
So,
that's nice.
and it was great, but it just took time
Yeah.
to do it, so,
Especially in the winter, because everybody's trying to do it.
because everyone's trying
Yeah.
to get that done, so.
Yeah, fall and winter is busiest.
Mhm.
Yeah, what goes on in the beginning of the year? Nothing is coming.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah. This
Hmm.
tree lighting, all that happens before our program. Right, and then the new year,
It's kind of slow.
To me, I feel like, early
Dancing with the
winters.
Stars.
Oh, what is
That's
that?
right.
February.
February. Yeah, we could get an ad out in that.
It's not a town function per se, but.
But it's
Right.
well attended.
But it's
right?
all town people that are in it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yep. That's a good, you could do an ad in that,
Yeah, you're
because they
right.
do the programs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other big programs. Unless.
Yeah, they have the programs with all the ads in
No,
them.
I mean, other than that.
Oh, you like
maybe-
sponsor a table and stuff like
Maybe
that?
school functions where we could just get material
Yeah,
to them that they could,
What about
School dance,
sports activities in the winter? Matt,
basketball
is
and
basketball season?
hockey and
Yeah.
indoor track, winter track.
They're not Auburn's top sports, I guess. I mean,
No,
Are they
they're
well
like
attended?
baseball and football town, so.
Are the
Yeah.
games
Maybe
well
a Little League
attended?
parade when that comes around in the spring, but.
Yeah.
we're thinking with the, after January 1st.
What about any of
Are the basketball games well attended?
plays?
They make the playoffs.
Depends on how well, depends on
Yeah.
how that's,
usually in
yeah.
May.
Okay.
Okay, well, don't they
So
have
that's
a
smaller
little bit
ones, do
later.
they have brochures and stuff
The
too?
plays.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the school ones are usually in May.
Because we could get I met,
Don't they have a science fair? When is that? Is that the end of the year?
that's a good question. I met the gentleman, he's on staff at the school, who's going to start the energy, or like environmental awareness group
Mhm.
at the school. So we're gonna be looking to coordinate some efforts. So I'm wondering, if we could get students to even table outside of the basketball games as people are coming in, and just have like a poster and a table. and
Information, a
information to
cell
sign
sheet
up.
that people can grab.
Yeah, things like that, I think could be really helpful. Obviously, we would need to coordinate that. But,
They have some type of parent-teacher thing halfway through the year? In the schools?
They just had them, like the
Curriculum
parent-teacher
nights
night.
In the
Yeah, I don't know. if
beginning
they-
of the school year, there's nothing,
Not that I can think of.
it's been a while since my kids.
Now mine are all split at like all the schools, so
right,
I don't think of, I can't think of any. There's like the art fair, that's kind of the beginning of the year, I think, or is that towards, maybe that might be spring too, actually.
well, you mentioned something, a science fair.
The science
So
fair,
we can find out about that.
yeah,
I think we put down homecoming.
Yeah, we can throw an email out. to
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we definitely can do,
superintendent.
right. The homecoming is in October, in the Fall Festival,
right.
so we want
I
to be
think the
there.
senior players, and usually, I think it's in the beginning of December, and I think that usually gets pretty well attended. I think that's probably Friday and Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, senior play.
So if you think about it,
Mhm,
we could technically, if we could,
mhm.
start doing any of the type of marketing once we get approved for it in December. Because if you're, and I guess we'd have to go back and look into see when it begins. So for example, is it the date the person does the audit? So if I find out about it in December, I'm going to schedule, I may not even start until, I may not get it scheduled until January.
Mhm.
Right.
I'd assume it's probably the date that these events occur is the date we get credit for them. So that being said, I think we'd be losing a month by not starting this effort in December of this year, because by December of 2017, even if we get people to do it, they may not schedule it till the next year and it won't be part of the evaluation.
Right.
So just something maybe we should check with Brenda on that,
Yeah.
I would say if we could, so to that, Jack, if there is that event there in December, then,
Start advertising in December.
yeah,
To,
but we, yep. But we should just confirm what when we get the credit for it, but I would bet you, yeah, December would be good.
Mhm.
I don't think what else, like,
You know-
look at my calendar for other things in the beginning of the year.
We do have access to the school email system. We use that to advertise the energy fair. So, and I know that the school's administration would be, amenable to us using their email system. So we could think about that, you know, somewhat strategically, when to email.
I mean, that's a pretty expansive list that we have there. And it seems to cover at least it's not concentrated in one
Mhm.
period of the year, so from a starting point. I
We
think
don't
that's-
have any New Year's stuff here in town now. New Year's celebration things. Would be the only other thing. Yeah, we don't have anything here, right?
If so, I've never been.
Yeah, no.
No, tree lighting, that's it.
We should probably put that on the schedule. We should have a Mini New Year's celebration. You can do all the ice sculptures at the
Yeah, that would be fun.
Drury Square.
For what you hope for.
So
We
we,
put you in charge.
I think another thing that might be neat is to use some of the money. I spoke with Julie, and she said that it costs money to do tax bill, or,
Mailers.
yeah, the mailers.
Suffers, yeah.
Yep, it costs money, so we could look at that cost, and perhaps that could be part of the budget.
Yeah.
For that first 4,000. I think, I don't know, like banners may be a way to spread
General
the word.
advertisement, right?
Yeah, general advertisement, we could use the message board, electronic message board.
Yeah,
Banners are good if we don't put a year on it, then we can use it every year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking, you know, in the spring, once things thaw and Pappas starts picking up again, we can hang banners there.
Mm-hmm.
Opening day
What is opening day?
for baseball.
Baseball, yeah.
Opening day
The
there, it's a
parade.
big parade.
It is, yeah.
And, that would be one that I think we'd get a fair amount of traction.
Yeah.
Pack
So
Track
we would
Golf Course
probably
is
wanna-
town-owned too, we could do something there.
What was that?
Pack Track Golf Course is town-owned now too, so we
Yes.
could always do something there.
Absolutely.
Start of the golf season,
Energy day or something, it's
Yeah.
right at the golf course. and
Yeah.
Tables and,
right in the front.
yeah. And then you've got your concerts in the park.
Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
So that
Any,
goes- That goes from June to September,
Pappas, yep.
every Thursday.
And
Okay.
then the movie nights are Friday, right? Thursday? Oh, Thursday's
No,
movie nights
No,
and
the
Friday nights?
concerts are Thursday, the
Concerts
movies are
Thursday.
Friday.
Movies are
And
Friday.
and
She did
how often
she did three movies this past year, I think it was
Okay.
August, July, August, September.
Is
Yeah,
that
July,
right?
August,
Yeah.
and
I
September,
feel
I
like
think
there
it
were
was.
more than that. Right?
So,
I don't know, maybe it was, I thought there was only three.
Yep.
this, as we're thinking about this, if we're gonna, you know, table these types of events or whatever, we are a small group. Does it feel like it would be, like this is an overwhelming?
I think it could be, and that's where I think could be a combination of if we could think of a way to solicit more interest in town for people who would want to participate. That's where I also think leveraging volunteers
Yeah.
and those,
High school
the high
volunteers.
school volunteers, especially if we do a lot of the kind of organizing, get it set up, and then it's, you know, and then it's on them really just to man the tables
Yeah.
and just make sure that there's a presence there.
Right.
So, but I think there will be some times where, and then we'll know, there'll be certain events I think where we'll need people, and other events where we can just bring materials to and just kind of figure that out, so.
Yeah. Okay.
I usually go to the movies in the park anyways,
Mhm.
so,
Well, that's what I
so
was
for,
thinking.
you know, if we can figure out a schedule, and it's also something that people would be there anyways, so.
Some of the organizers, like concerts in the park, maybe the staff that oversees that would know, you know, that these individuals are there all the time, and perhaps they would, you know, sit at
Yep.
that table
Mhm.
for us if we brought the table and had it set up or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay.
I know my kids all play sports, so there's always something, can always set up a table. I'm there anyway.
Mhm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
at practices and stuff, like the kids,
Mhm.
the boys, the twins played flag football, and I think they're gonna play again in the spring, and then, you know, these are town sports, not school sports.
Right.
You know, stuff like that. I think there's a spring soccer season for the kids
I think so.
in the spring, for the little ones. I don't know.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's T-ball, that's what they play in the spring usually.
Okay. And so at our monthly meetings too, we can discuss where the goals are at and if there are certain, you know, this idea, Jeff, is just an idea now, but I think it's a cool idea. Like we do an energy day at the golf course on a Saturday morning or something like that. You know, talk to Bill about the busiest day.
Yep.
I'd imagine probably Saturday or
Yeah,
Sunday.
they just said it's
Find out when they're doing a, like a tournament,
Right.
do it that day.
And just,
Town isn't sponsoring any yet. I don't know if they'll do it the next year.
There's usually some that,
Somebody.
well, not
somebody-
necessarily at that golf course, but there's always some around, you know,
mm.
golf tourneys.
So we've got social media and website. We have outreach at the senior center, which I know we can rely on the staff there, I believe,
Mhm.
to help with that. We have a public library as well that we could,
Oh, that's a good call,
Mhm.
yeah.
Now, we can put a table up in those two places. and just
exactly,
leave the
and just
information.
leave information.
Mhm.
But like at the senior center, it may be beneficial to,
Once in a while, have somebody.
yeah, have, even if National Grid is willing, to just come out for an hour event that they schedule and they just talk about the program. And the seniors can just know, okay, I can come to the senior center at 11 o'clock on this day and learn about this information
Yeah, that would be
from
good.
somebody who works for National Grid.
What about the Elks Club or the Telcos?
What do you think, how do you think we could capitalize
It
on?
just, well, the Elks are all, you have to be members there, so
Right.
I mean, if there was like a member day or some, I don't, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or even the Sportsman
The
Club.
Sportsman's Club.
They do all stuff there throughout, you know, and once the weather clear, actually, they do things all year, but,
Do
you know, they,
still have a mom's club in town?
there's the Junior Women's Club.
Okay. I
Right.
used to be involved in the
I
mom's
think
group.
it's the
but that was years
junior,
ago.
oh, I don't know about mom's groups,
Yeah.
too busy.
Well, when I was involved in it, we had guest speakers come and talk, so
Yep.
if there is one, that would be perfect.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be really
That's
great.
good.
Local chamber,
yeah.
chamber meetings. What was the other one that they had? Another two. I don't know.
The Sportsman's Club has stuff all year. They have a
Mhm.
Christmas party in December, they have, you know, all stuff. I live on the other side, so I can hear the guns all year, so. They, but they do stuff all, programs all year.
Okay.
They do an ice fishing tournament, and they do, you know, regular fishing tournament in the spring, and
Mhm.
so, just, thought, you know, because that's an off-season thing, a lot of stuff we were talking about is in the spring, so that might be a
Yeah.
source of off-season things.
Absolutely. That's helpful. We have the opportunity at church to reach out to houses of worship, Boy and Girl Scouts. Perhaps we could look into that. We know that we've got the 4th of July event. Dancing with the Stars, I think that's a good event to look into. And then science fair, senior play, basketball games, the fall festival. Anything else that we can think of? And we can have a table set up all the time at town hall as well, by the clerk's office.
That's a good idea.
Would be a good spot for it. So,
And I think this will be great for us to work on in here, so once we kind of go through the training,
Yeah.
we can put
Yep.
through, so perhaps we can try to put together a calendar
Mhm.
and just, you know, try to set goals for
May
us.
elections,
May elections.
yeah.
Yep.
Right, people
Yep.
are.
I mean,
that.
the whole town,
Yep,
figure all
the
comes through
audience
the,
at-
Yep.
No,
That's
it's
a good
great.
call.
And so once it gets approved, Eric, I think we should have, kind of look at it in two ways. One would just be places where we can just have materials, posters, banners, et cetera, that we feel will be good there. And then we can kind of divvy that up, get them set up, and then maybe just periodically check and make sure that the stuff's there. And then the second piece will be events, so
Okay.
places that we need to go to, so.
Sure. And for the most part, does it feel comfortable, that we would sort of break up some of that outreach if it means making a phone call or
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to make connections or whatever?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Presentation.
Yeah, all right. So the item number 3, description of personnel who would be assigned to the project and their specific project responsibilities.
It's a little bit early, I mean, we can list this group,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as specific responsibilities, I think it's too early.
Can we make it general?
That's what
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how.
I think we could make it general. I feel like I could give myself specific responsibilities for sure. And then in general, some like the outreach and tabling and that sort of thing, just sort of like,
Statement of qualifications.
Mhm.
I mean, what are they looking for as far as that goes?
yeah.
You
So,
can speak.
I know.
Do you know what energy is? Do you use energy?
Do you use energy?
Do you know about energy?
I wonder if maybe they're looking to say, we want to know that the people who are going to participate are somewhat,
Passionate?
passionate and involved in the town, which, you're all a part of a volunteer committee,
Right.
which says something, plus you each have your own worlds that you're, a part of as well.
We may learn that at the training.
Yeah, that's true.
Or we
That's
should at
true.
least ask questions.
Mhm.
Right.
And we'll be able to get a letter from Julie. So a description of current and pre-existing relationships within our community and to what extent this initiative will build upon those partnerships. We can work that up based on,
Yeah. I mean, it's like Auburn Rec,
yep.
we have a shared experience with them, with the Energy Fair, and everything else is,
Mhm.
I mean, it's pretty common sense.
Yeah.
The town all works together.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be the relationship with the library, with the
Yes.
senior center,
Mhm.
with
Right.
the school department,
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah.
I would think.
Yep. Great. That was really, I think, really helpful and productive. So, are we putting this together this week and the beginning of next and submitting our application?
What are these dates here?
Those dates on the bottom,
Would those be next year's dates?
yeah,
The 16s would become 17s and the 17s would become 18s?
well,
Or,
this is saying, like we got the invitation to apply
so we're
early
already,
in September. Yeah, we're into this.
Okay.
This is the total schedule.
Oh, yeah, because it says
And the
proposal
last day
due
of
November
questions
1st.
the 15th of this
Yeah.
month, and then proposals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I would suspect that start date, January 15th, is probably everything that's done after that fact.
Then
But we
Yeah.
get
starts
credit
coming
for.
towards, yeah,
Right.
towards the goals,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now,
Great.
I just have one more question.
Yes.
So as far as, when does it count when they make the phone call? So if they start calling in, say, December of this year,
Mhm.
does that count towards this year, or does that count towards next year? Does it count when the audit's actually completed, or when they make the phone call and request it?
I'm happy to ask that question tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think it is a really good question, especially once we're in that sort of liminal space between, we've gotten the approval, but it doesn't start until the 15th of January,
Right.
so.
I would imagine it's going to be when it actually occurs. I think it's the right question we need to ask.
It's just tough when we get to the end of the year, especially with the fall festival and the energy
Mm-hmm.
fair being at the end of the year.
I know.
They're not gonna be able to get them in before the end of December, you know what I mean? So, That's usually, you figure the busy housing market times are spring and fall. And so it's usually when they get into the homes that they start
settle,
making,
yeah.
yep, that they start making
I
those
guess
appointments.
summertime is a good time to do the audits because that's probably when it's slower for the auditors.
Yeah,
That's why they come out and do, I don't know.
When you are a new homeowner, do you get a packet or anything from the town? So,
There
Not
is a
that I've
packet,
seen.
oh, pardon me. for
No,
interrupting.
you're good.
The only thing I can think of is I remember when I bought this house, doing the change of address, but I
Ah.
actually,
We get that
post
from the
office.
post office.
for the post office. But it was interesting, the
That's what we
stuff
need to
that
put
was,
some stuff in the post office if we can.
Yeah.
I wonder if they would,
Yeah.
right? If,
I mean, there were items in there from,
Concept, yeah.
I
All
remember
over the place.
home, yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
it
over
was-
the place. It was
Okay, got
local, it was
15%
Home
off
Depot,
and
Lowe's.
Yeah.
Depot,
Yeah.
all that kind of
So,
stuff.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know a lot
Been a while
of
since I bought one.
real estate agents that
It wasn't
will
even, it was just changing the
give
facts.
packets
So
of
you didn't have to-
information like contact number for local oil companies, contact number for Mass Save, that kind of thing
Yeah.
at closing or just after closing.
mhm.
I mean, I'm sure I know some real estate agents in town
Yay.
that might be
I
able
would-
to pass things around.
You may.
I might, but, you know, that, you know, might be something, and that would be something that you could even kind of put on them, where they could see it as an opportunity for them to reach out to the community, as
Mhm.
opposed to leaving it in the committee's hands, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes
You know?
perfect
Yeah.
And if it's more just sharing with them materials
That's what I'm
too,
saying, yeah.
that's,
Mhm.
Yep,
yep.
Yeah.
It shows that they're kind of taking it to the next level with how they're treating their clients, and as well, we're just giving them a
Exactly.
nice, well-branded,
Yeah.
I like that.
Marketing.
helps both sides.
All right, look at that, we have quite a list here.
How many new homeowners, not necessarily houses, but new homeowners would you say there is in the town each year? I mean, closings have been crazy going through. I mean, we go through, I bet you,
I think right now
close
there's,
to 10 to 20 closings a week.
yeah, I think there's 50 on the market right now in town, yep, last I saw.
I was thinking maybe using a little bit of the grant money to put together a packet
Yep,
with a, almost like a housewarming
I
gift,
think that's a
you
really.
Yeah.
know, some type of gift card.
well, that would be nice for, like, the town could send that out
Well, I mean,
with,
the
when you
town-
sign up for your, because you have to sign up for, like, trash and all of that at
So
the town.
that was kind of where I was leading with my question.
Yeah.
In a way. At
Like,
what
I didn't get
point, as a
anything.
new resident, do you come to the town hall and say,
A lot of people don't.
I
They don't
didn't
even-
know.
They don't even know they have to.
Right.
I was thinking.
it's not until you get like your tax bill?
Well, in
we get
January and June, you have to sign up for, you have to pay a trash bill in January, and then you have to pay it again in June, because it's due every 6 months.
Okay.
So that's a reason to go into the town.
Register to vote, like change your.
That, and then when you
Right.
go and get, you know,
Wow.
you have to pay your, what's it, your dog licensing fee.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you don't have to go into, I remember.
No, you
can-
don't.
I
Yeah,
did.
you can do it by
But
mail.
what I was thinking was we have inside information as far as new owners of homes.
Oh, yeah,
We could maybe use the volunteers if we could put a packet together,
Mhm.
whether it be this, you know, plus all the town information.
Mhm.
And have our volunteers
I mean, how many
possibly,
in town know that it's a green community?
you know,
Yeah,
knock on the
absolutely.
doors
Like,
and welcome.
Put a
them
packet together
to
saying this
their
is a
new
green
home.
community.
Yeah.
and here's what we
Congratulations on
do.
your
It's a
new home.
really
You
good
know,
point.
that's why I was thinking
Mhm.
maybe a gift card or, you know, even a small token or something. you
Right.
know, And I can't see the town
Fronting that.
fronting that.
no,
that's
but
what
if
I
we
was
had a
wondering
table,
about this.
you know what I mean, especially those times a year with, you know, extra information.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't have to go into town, like she said, to pay your excise bill or your dog
Mhm.
licensing bill, but a lot of people do, or your trash bill, a lot of people do.
Okay,
Great. You're gonna have quite a list, Eric.
Yeah.
This will be great.
thank you.
So you'll keep us posted, once you hear back from them and the training dates, and then we'll all look to see whomever is available.
Well, we've got to get accepted first.
Yes. Which I'm sure
Yeah.
will be a well-written proposal. and
I'm
we'll have
sure it will.
Zero issues
Not at
whatsoever.
all.
All right, if everybody's okay with that, why don't we move on to the next agenda item, which is the update on the municipal aggregation program.
Can I ask one more question? I'm sorry. Come here with my hand up. The refrigerator recycling, this is just a side note. A $50 reward, does it matter what size fridge or freezer it is?
As long as it's not an apartment size.
So it does matter?
You know,
Yeah.
not a
Yeah,
little
not
a
a
mini.
college one.
one.
Mark, did you have one you just want to get rid of in college?
Actually, I do in my garage,
They
but
might
no.
they might give you something, but I don't think you can.
No, I was just curious if there were
Yeah.
regulations, you know what I mean? So, especially since you see a lot on
Isn't there a
Craigslist and
date
stuff, it'd be
regulation too?
nice
Like, isn't
to
it?
encourage them to do it that way
Mhm.
instead, you know?
It has to be a certain amount of years old.
That I'm not sure. It does say working as
Okay.
well,
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
so it's not like you can get $50 for your broken refrigerator.
Well, they say we're.
I'm gonna pay for one thing, I'm like,
They don't check.
Right, what are they gonna do, plug it in?
Yeah.
Let's wait
Well,
until it cools
actually, that's
up.
what it says. It says they have a cord, and it's flat to plug it in when they
Right.
come to get it.
Yeah,
Oh.
They don't have,
right, yes.
it's just this big rack.
Sure.
All right, why don't we move on to the next agenda item? Eric, do you have an update for us on the aggregation program?
The update that I have is regarding our rate. The current rate, which is 9.522 cents per kilowatt hour, that rate expires in December, and our new rate going forward in January was bid and solidified just about a month ago. It is 9.424.
Nice.
So it's just slightly below our last year's rate. The current national grid rate is 7.5 cents. So they, through the spring and summer, were competitive with our rate. But going in November, their rate will increase to 9.7. So we come under 0.3 cents, per kilowatt hour.
A little bit helps.
Do you know if it's another green energy source as we had?
It is.
It is? Awesome.
Yes. Yep. There's, the RECs were, it's the same scenario, 100% wind sourced. And they, I believe, call it continental wind sources, so it's
Mhm.
American wind projects. Or in the United States, I should clarify. And the numbers regarding participation, their last quarter was in June, so they don't have the most current quarter's numbers. But perhaps at our next meeting, we'll have those. I'd like to just take a look at them and see, where we're at for participation. But in June, I was around, it was around like 4,600 homes were participating.
Nice.
Yeah, wouldn't it be bad if maybe we could get Brian back in here again to just talk about, I would just be curious in regards to the opt-in, opt-out 1 year later, how that went, and then how much activity there was during the year, if we had a
Right.
fair number, especially with the rate from, because I remember hearing about it a little bit when National Grid's rate came in so much lower.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of feedback on that piece, so I would just be curious if, if maybe if he is available at this meeting or the December meeting, just to come back in and kind of do a kind of a 1 year debrief and see what his thoughts are,
Yeah.
so. I'd imagine year 2 will probably be more stable because our rate will be lower and it's already been out there for a year and I'm
Mhm.
sure people are just gonna kind of steady state, stay
Yeah.
with it, so.
On my end, I've recently been getting an increase of calls, mostly from our senior residents who either were already had a third-party supplier and now their contract's coming to a close and they want to participate in our program. And a lot of folks are getting calls from solicitors
yeah.
who are making a lot of different claims. Just this morning, I spoke with a woman who got a letter in her mail, and the solicitor basically was saying, if you want to have all green power, just sign this form and send it back. And it's signing and authorizing a
Changing
a change in supplier.
yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be no rates involved.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
because I
What's
asked
going
her
on
the
here?
details, and
Wow.
at least in the bold print, it was just get all green power.
There's gotta be fine
I
print
know.
somewhere.
Sure.
Or maybe not.
Well, that's-
So it's for the benefit of the public, just, to be aware, the solicitations do happen, and we are always willing to take calls in town hall and clarify if it is something that's involving the municipal aggregation program or if it's an outside agency.
I think on one of the Auburn sites, that's what I was hearing, people would ask, is this for real,
Mhm.
there's a discussion going on
Yeah.
around that at different times throughout the year.
Yeah, it seems to be picking up probably because we're approaching the winter, maybe, I'm not sure why. Yeah.
Well, especially I'm sure those companies know when the town's programs are expiring.
Right.
And so when, I'm sure if they're that slick where they're putting those type of materials out, I bet you they have a pretty sophisticated marketing campaign as to
Mm.
when they potentially go out to people, so.
Yeah.
Great, so that'll be exciting to kind of hear at the next meeting or so, or the subsequent meeting, just the participation numbers, what kind of happened over the first year, and what Brian's thoughts are for,
Mm-hmm.
or even if he doesn't have to come, just if he can give us any
You can provide
insight.
us some
Insight.
information. Sure.
All right, so why don't we move on to the next item? Eric's handy dandy spreadsheets here. So this is the LED streetlight economics. So Eric, do you want to share with us?
Yes, these numbers are preliminary. They're the first draft that we received from our technical assistance consultants. And, just a brief reminder, we applied for a technical assistant grant, received it through the state, and are working with an agency out of Boston who's been working with a lot of towns on LED streetlight conversions. And so we sent them our inventory of lights, and there are two groups of spreadsheets. One, each group is pertinent to the two tariffs that our lights are on. So the first one is the S1 tariff. We can take a look at that. And essentially, what our consultant put together is economics regarding the cost of the town just taking on the maintenance of our streetlights alone. So on one tariff, we have to actually purchase the lights from National Grid, and then we would assume maintenance. And then there's a subsequent spreadsheet that shows if we took the next step to then convert to LED. So on the front page of the S1 tariff, which is those lights that are both owned by National Grid and maintained by National Grid, we have, you can see the total number of lights under the quantity list there. And, it's around, it's between 100 and 200. He didn't put a total there. But that's the smaller amount of our lights here in town. And we can look, I think it's interesting to look at the total cost in this the left half of the sheet here. We're looking at an annual cost of $36,000 thereabouts to run basically like the delivery and the supply cost for these streetlights. As they stand right now. And that delivery cost includes a maintenance cost that's built in by National Grid. So the estimated cost to buy these streetlights, which, the lights end up, each individual light will have a depreciated value that National Grid will actually give us. So this is a rough estimation based on $50 per light. And some will be more expensive, some will be less expensive. This is in their experience, it's sort of an average cost per light. So we're looking at $10,500 thereabouts to purchase the streetlights from National Grid. And then once we purchase, this next table to the right shows the maintenance cost. So, well, we could look at the delivery costs. We can see that that increases a little bit compared to the delivery cost on the left. Right, the delivery cost on the left is almost 7,500, then it goes to 9,700. But the we would assume maintenance, which would be a third-party contract, and that would be about $2,500 a year. And then a contingency, which is, you know, if somebody hits a pole and knocks a light over, and we have to make calls, it's basically a safety net, so we would want to budget that. And then the supply charge is going to be the same because there's no conversion. So just by purchasing the lights and taking on the maintenance, our total cost drops from $36,000 a year to about almost $26,000 a year. So we see an annual savings that comes in right around the cost to purchase those streetlights. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if we just purchase these lights and then assume the maintenance, from here, after the first year, we're saving about 10 grand a year.
Are we required for this third-party maintenance?
Yes, that would be required.
We don't have it now.
We don't have it now because National Grid,
No, for the ones that we own.
the ones that we own are maintained by National Grid. So then, yeah.
Okay. I guess that's
But-
why we don't have
Key question. So if we just flip quickly to the next page, this is still the S1 tariff, so the same lights we were talking about. The table on the left is the same as it was in the last sheet. The difference is that now, I'm sorry, that's not true. The table on the left is showing our cost for the retrofit. So to upgrade our lights to LEDs, that's looking at about $61,600 thereabouts. And then we move to the next table, which is including, you know, this is including our cost to run our lights on this tariff, including the maintenance, the supply cost. You can see after the conversion, it drops from $12,000 a year to $4,000 a year. You know, and these are obvious estimations, but we're looking at about a 3/4 reduction in supply cost with an LED retrofit on these lights. So we have the annual savings table on the right, which is showing us if we're maintaining and we retrofit our lights, we're saving about $15,500 a year, and that would give us a payback of about 3.5 years. So that's the 10,500 to purchase the lights and then retrofit them. The additional cost of retrofit.
now
So does
that's
that make
just
sense?
this group of.
So that's just this group. Yep. The next tariff, the S2, is the bulk of our lights. The town currently owns about 900 lights, and they are maintained by National Grid, so that's the S2 tariff. To take over the supply of the lights, you know, obviously we don't have to purchase them, so there's no purchase cost. All we do, all we see here on this first sheet is that we take over the maintenance, and if we're looking at the right side here, the third-party maintenance charge and the contingency is close to $17,000 a year for these lights.
Where do you see that? I'm sorry.
It's on the right side under annual third-party maintenance charge.
I have 11,000.
Yeah, and then if we include the 5,500
Oh, okay.
for the contingency,
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep,
we would
okay.
combine those.
So
Just to
17,
think of
yep.
maintenance as one category. Yep, about 17,000 there. But where we would save, the supply would stay the same because the bulbs are the same, right?
Yeah.
Where we save is in our delivery costs, I believe. Oh no, it's that we don't have to pay a luminaire charge.
Okay.
So if you see on the existing table, the luminaire charge is 25,000.
Yeah.
We don't have to pay that.
So say,
So we end up only saving about 3,000 a year to take on the maintenance ourselves. Which isn't a huge number, but it's a savings nonetheless.
but then,
If we convert to LED, the cost to retrofit is quite substantial. $300,000. And if we're looking at our supply charge, which is where our big benefit is going to come, the supply without the retrofit is about 33,000 a year, and the supply after the retrofit is about 13,000 a year. So 2/3 reduction. And the estimated payback on that is 6.5 years. So there are a number of opportunities that we are going to see in our final report, including a grant that the state is going to be putting out that will cover up to 30% of the cost to purchase and retrofit lights, and that's after utility incentives. So that would buy down this cost by 30%, if we apply and receive that grant. There's also grant funding through the Competitive Green Communities Grant. So there are ways that we could buy the cost down and shorten our payback. But I think in general, looking at a 6.5 year payback for something that has a life of 15 to 20 years, it's almost 10 years
you're talking about a
of savings.
total investment of about $315,000.
Right.
Both groups, both
With
tariffs.
both tariffs combined.
Yeah.
So they're big numbers, and I think a strategy for moving forward will come after we get the final presentation. But I wanted just the committee to be able to see preliminarily what we're looking at, and this is, the numbers that we received before were sort of back of the napkin type of things. This is a lot more
Concrete.
solid and concrete. And I think, I do want to announce that at the November 28th Board of Selectmen meeting, our consultant is going to be coming and making the presentation to the Board of Selectmen. And, so put that on your radar, that'll be a Monday night. And it'll be great to, have the committee there to hear the
Do you
presentation.
think this is something that we would want to go forward for the annual town meeting? Possibly the funding of this? I mean, how soon do we want to kick this off?
Well, here's the deal. In order to,
Feel out the selectmen first to see how they.
to see how they respond. The town would need, so in order to retrofit our lights to LED, the town has to own the lights and maintain them. So that tariff is called the S5 tariff. So we need to move all our lights to the S5 tariff. And in order to do that, we need to notify National Grid before the end of this year that we are intending to purchase and take over maintenance of our lights. And then come July 1 of next year, that would come into effect. They would work up the agreement with the town, give us our final costs to purchase the lights. And then July 1, so the middle of the year, we would assume that responsibility. And then we could move forward with the LED conversion.
The cost would be in 2 parts.
The cost would be, yes.
Now, do you know if they'd be willing to handle the payment of that cost through the bills, a percentage on each bill?
I'm not sure.
Because, to be honest, we're saving a ton of money right now on the solar.
Right, the
The
credits.
credits
Mhm.
are phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that'd be something to use the credits for,
Right. Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely, if we could buy it down that way. So, those are questions to be had, but that's the general, sort of the general big picture, if we were gonna move forward on this.
Just curious, does the town have a kind of philosophy or strategy on, and I know it's kind of apples and oranges, but owning this versus having this type of relationship with the utility? I don't know if there's any, is it separate from this? That would be, I guess, the only thing, and I'm sure it'll be contemplated, is separate from this particular project and the benefit we know from the LEDs. How does it benefit the town to own the lights, or does it benefit the town to own all of the lights versus not?
Mhm.
Is it immaterial? I guess that would be the only thing I'd say, kind of strip out this project. What does that mean for
Yeah.
the town? To make sure there isn't some kind of tangential impact that, because we're so focused on the LED streetlights.
Mhm.
So, but if it's, doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
So,
I think in general, I think our consultant would be able to speak to what other, the reasoning behind other towns. Because he has indicated that some towns just take over maintenance just to see that savings without even having to make the investment into the LED retrofit. And towns are seeing it as a benefit. The benefit's great enough there to just take that action. But from the standpoint of administration here, or the philosophy here in Auburn, I wouldn't be able to speak to that at this time.
okay,
Mhm.
there's more curiosity.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Great. So that meeting will be on the 21st?
28.
Oh, it is the 28th?
Yes.
We couldn't do this in two steps, could we? Retrofit
I
the
think
ones that we
21st
own
we-
first and then.
I think these ones are 28. 28th is our next meeting as well, so.
Oh.
See,
They want that day.
pilot program.
I think they meet at 7 maybe?
Right. Yeah.
Eric, what time does the board?
They meet at 7.
7,
Oh,
so
okay.
if we could still have our meeting and
Mhm.
try our best to keep it,
Yeah.
to a certain period of time if we wanted to go over there. I think
Mhm.
that'd be great.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
And in the interim, you'll keep us updated on any other
Most likely it
developments.
would be right at 7 anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Select-
Yeah.
Eric, do you have any staff updates?
At this time, I do not.
Alright. Since there's no one here, we have no public comments, and any informal discussions. I think we kind of hit everything in our brainstorming session
Yeah, we
there,
did. Thank
which
you
is
for that. It
great.
was really good.
No formal correspondence, I didn't see you send anything over, so. And I do apologize, there was one minor typo in the agenda I sent out. It is actually the 8:22 minutes that we're looking to approve tonight, not to be 9:26,
Yeah.
because we did not meet on 9:26. So my apologies for that minor error. And so I have copies here for folks if you need to see them. And I did notice one minor mistake, I believe I updated after I sent them out to everybody the last time, so they should be. I wrote Mitchell abstained, and the one that I have updated has Mr. Mitchell. So,
Mitchell.
Have a call us.
there were a couple of small little grammatical mistakes that I did find, but other than that, I didn't know if there were any updates, corrections. I always count on Mr. Mitchell for providing me with my spelling and grammatical mistakes after I send them out.
I don't
so-
mean to be.
No, hey, no, I appreciate it.
It's always good to have a second eye on things.
So would anybody like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Anybody like the seconds?
shuffled.
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. All right. The minutes for the 8:22 meeting are approved. Next agenda item, so our next regular meeting will be Monday, November 28th at 5:30 here at the Auburn School Department at 5 West Street. And we will do our best to keep that meeting probably approximately about an hour, so that those who want to attend the Board of Selectmen, we can also find out too when they schedule it in the meeting as
Yes.
well. So even if it's something that might be
Yeah, we can
later
check
on or
it.
earlier on,
We
we
can
can check
check it.
closer too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So barring that, that's everything. Anybody like to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Anybody like to second the motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, motion approved to adjourn the meeting at 6:42 PM.